Thinking about, what was our traditional birthing knowledge and culture outside of colonialism. It is a journey of restoration and reclamation, I think, for our communities. It's a lot of collective knowledge that's held in pieces that are starting to come together for the first time.
We've lost a lot of traditions. We don't know them. We've been owned. We've been sold. And I'm, slowly here and there, I'll pick up something from some older grandmother that says, we do this. And I'll hold on to it like, oh, that's what we do.
I find that although I see with like Indian Health Services and then the tribally owned 638 healthcare centers that are here on the reservation, they really push for, they say they push for our people to go back to tradition. And then they say that they encourage it and they support it, but yet they forget about the woman, the children. The women are the bearers of life.
Where do you see us going next beyond the colonialism and the appropriation of traditional first food and birthing practices?
I see awakening of powerful people saying enough. We know what to do. We know what to do with our bodies. We know how to care for our women and our families. We know how to partner with each other and work with each other. And we're going to do it.
Having a good and a nice provider is not the only thing that's going to keep you safe, right? And I think that sadly, as Black women for sure, and brown women and birthing people, we know that, right? We know that our providers can be kind and they can be nice and they can be competent with their skills, but racism still impacts the type of care that they give us.
But I think having accessible doula trainings and midwifery trainings, lactation education trainings for our Indigenous and Black communities, because it's really, really hard to find a training that suits our needs.
We can't look at reproductive health and justice in a silo as being its own kind of issue standing alone of like, oh, that's a birth. Like, no, it's healthcare, it's access to cultural and traditional knowledge, it's preventative care and addiction and crisis response for our families. It's all of these kind of responses that we have outsourced to non-Native communities, speaking from a Pueblo perspective, that are dependent on federal funds or government. Those are things that we need to reclaim so that we have that agency and self-determination to integrate our cultural, spiritual, physical, economic, all of those things.
I think more spaces like this, where we lift each other's voices, where we say what we feel, what we've lived, what we've experienced, when we lift up the voices of the people, of their experiences, of their knowledge, of their wisdom, and that people will be willing to listen to us.
I think the most courageous thing to say right now in these times is that it's okay to demand liberation of Black and Indigenous communities from colonialism.
Defund white supremacy, fund community, Black and Indigenous-led organizations, and let us go back to doing what we were doing before colonization, because we weren't dying, we were thriving.